Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 5 Drinks or Midnight. Hope everybody's staying safe and healthy out there. Today we're going to talk to Derek King, brand ambassador of Powers Whiskey. Let's go say hi. Derek King, thank you so much for joining us tonight on 5 Drinks or Midnight. 5 drinks, 5 questions. I guess our first thing is, what are we drinking tonight?
So I'm on a Powers Honey Highball. So we've got some, I've got soda water, honey syrup, of course Powers Gold Label, and really nice mix for a highball. Just stirs up the norm.
All right, let me make myself one of those.
Gold Label there.
Yes.
So, well, first, cheers.
Cheers.
All right, so our first question, from bartender to bar manager to bar owner, how does one become brand ambassador, global brand ambassador for one of the most recognizable Irish brands there is, Powers Whiskey?
Yes, so I suppose going back to what we just initially mentioned, I've been working in bars was just a passion, and I guess the initial going all the way back for me, Irish pub culture was the main pull towards, even somewhere like where I am today in our local village here, like pretty isolated. We're 40 minutes outside of Galway City, the main city. The pub was really like the beating heart and the epicenter of everything that happened in the community. That got me in, got me pulling pints, got me serving whiskey, and it was something I loved. I just loved the buzz, meeting people, and I fell more in love with it. Now, as I got a little bit older, I kind of felt that the later nights were getting to me, and I was thinking, how can you do this job but do it maybe in normal times? Like not necessarily not so funny, because my hours certainly aren't normal now. But I got into whiskey with Slane whiskey, and we literally shaped the experience. We created drinks menus, the way the bars looked, and it was an amazing experience. But the more involvement I had in that project, the more I saw what was happening outside the distillery, the people that were on the ground as such. So I kind of expressed my interest in being a brand ambassador for those guys, but they were essentially doing it all from the US with people that had no visa issues or that.
Sure.
But my circumstances changed at home. I had due to family circumstances, I moved back home for a little while, and randomly bumped into an old school friend one night in a supermarket just up the road, and he works for Irish Distillers, the owners of Powers, of course, and told me that there was the possibility of becoming a brand ambassador for said brand. And of course, I threw absolutely everything I could at it, because anyone that's involved in whiskey always has a kind of a keen interest as such as what's happening with Powers. They're always kind of keeping an eye on what's happening, and for the exact reason for what's happening now. I mean, it's going through a huge change at the moment, and I think it's there's no better time to be involved. It's an amazing brand, and anyone that has anything to do with it, be it in marketing or on the ground for them, it just touches people. It's a great, fantastic brand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Powers has been like an innovator from the very get-go. I mean, the invention of the baby Powers to go, like that little bottle. And
I had one earlier there somewhere. We've got there's like the new look, so something a little bit different to the ones we were looking at in the archives. But they're pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then now to your rebrand, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, the bottles are beautiful, and going to that big solid diamond P on the cover. I mean, you guys are really going to stand out.
It's a really striking look. They look so well when they're teamed together on the bar as well. So it's going to take people to have a good look at them on their back bar. But yeah, really, it's very positive. Thank God.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So awesome. Well, that's great. Cheers to that. Question 1 down.
Cheers. All right. On to question 2.
Perfect.
First, what are we drinking for question 2?
3 swallow, neat.
3 swallows, neat. No problem there.
Suit.
All
Great way.
All right, well, got my 3 swallows in my Túath. Cheers.
Cheers.
My friend.
I'm on a powers tumbler this evening.
Excellent.
So it'd normally be a Túath, but cheers.
It all works. Cheers. Oh, it's amazing. All right, on to question 2. So you worked in many different countries. Which one do you think has the best related Irish drinking culture?
Yeah, so I guess it is we're stereotypical in drinking culture here. I mean, it's always been about. It's funny at the moment. Probably now people are talking about quantity being less important and quality becoming to the forefront of people drinking. But to compare that stereotypical drinking culture, I'd probably have to look on Australia. I think. I mean, they don't socialise in the same way. It's kind of quantity would be similar. These guys are well able to drink as well, and so I think that's the closest. I lived in Canada, of course, for a bit as well, and I felt that was a nice, relaxed social atmosphere where you could order food right and up to the deck. Menus were on tables and such.
Sure.
But in Australia, it was as soon as Friday evening came, we were on it as such. I mean, I remember, and I'll never forget really working on, when I got there first, everyone does a stint in construction. So I worked with a guy doing paving, I should say, slabs of concrete around pools and stuff. So my first week with them went really well. I mean, you're looking at about 40 degrees heat in Perth, Western Australia. And the rule was on Fridays that if you made a mistake, you had to buy a case of beer for the lads. So I didn't mind making a mistake this day, I'm not going to lie. I never said no to a beer in my life.
Sure.
I was coming in probably the last maybe 20 minutes, and I was wheeling some slabs off the back of the truck, and they went askew, they went sideways and cracked all over the road. So everyone seemed to be a little bit happy about this, and the main man, the gaffer, kept running out. He was like, you know what this means? He said, it's not one case, it's 2 cases. He said, you busted 2, so you have to get 2 cases of beer. So he was able to direct me to the closest liquor store, and I went. By the time I come back, it took about 10 minutes. They had set up almost a great big rubbish bin or a trash can, if you like, full of ice and water. And we just sat on the front lawn of the person that we were working on all day and just drank beers. And it went on for hours and hours and hours. And it was just like almost being in a pub, but same quantity of alcohol, but just we were laying across this woman's garden that we've been working on for all day. So definitely hard to compare the drinking culture inside the pubs and stuff, but the quantity they're able to do it. Yeah,
excellent.
100%.
Well, cheers to that, and cheers to the fellas in Australia. Question 3, halfway done, not even close to midnight. What are we drinking now?
So I think we'll go for John's Lane Neat.
All right, excellent.
That suits.
Never gonna say no to a John's Lane. I mean,
definitely. I was just going to say that probably not many people that would put up an argument there.
Right, twist my arm. I mean, jeez. So, John's Lane it is. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, so question 3. What's the biggest misconception you've heard about Irish whiskey throughout your time working in the industry?
I suppose it's less of a misconception as it is miseducation. I think a lot of people, like we're drinking, in my opinion, one of the best pot still whiskies that bang for your dollar of money you can buy here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely amazing. So I think somewhere in the middle is just a little trick missed between what people believe is quintessentially Irish and maybe a blended whiskey. So that kind of grey area that's in the middle of, having something like a nice blend, but the difference between that and appreciating, a real good pot still whiskey.
Excellent.
If that makes sense. But you know, it's a lot of people for a very long time. Probably in the US, I saw it there. I mean, when I was there a few months back, and you know, a lot of people, Jameson was the only whiskey in a lot of the bars that I visited. And for me, the unfortunate thing was that people didn't know about all of the lovely other pot still whiskies that are, and not necessarily just powers. You know, there's an array of absolutely beautiful pot stills.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's about us Irish whiskey people filling that gap and educating people onto, you know, gravitating towards pot still and taking the next rung on the ladder as such.
Excellent. Well, cheers to that. I mean, again, John's Lane is, like you said, one of the finest pot stills there is.
It's amazing. It's an amazing whiskey, and you know, for some people, it might not be the first pot still you're going to take in hand, but you can definitely make your way towards it and be very content to stay there for a long time as well, I think.
Yeah, that's
beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that is just one of the best.
Really, really good.
I gave myself a little extra pour just because I know it's that damn good. So that is all right. All right. So on to question 4. What are we drinking?
We're on a Powers Old Fashioned.
Excellent. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
All right. So I mean, one of the things that you've talked about is innovation throughout being, you know, from a barman to working at Slane to even being in Powers. If you were to make your own Powers whiskey or release a Powers whiskey brand, what would it be and what would the flavor profiles be like?
Ooh, right. I suppose we spoke, we touched on John's Lane, and really and truly, I definitely wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel if I was recreating a whiskey with Powers, because I think John's Lane has ticked all the boxes there. You know, fantastic whiskey for what it is. Price is good. You know, the age is there, and as I say, getting traction that it has been since being released. But I think what's exciting at the moment, and certainly excites me, is a cask strength whiskey. You know, I think people are kind of leaning towards cask strength a lot. So for me, I certainly wouldn't have to reinvent a whiskey. It would probably be a John's Lane, but go to cask strength.
Excellent.
So I think it'd be the ultimate pot still whiskey at that. You know, but
I mean, I look forward to the day that the Derek King Powers cask strength John's Lane is released. I mean, that would be amazing.
I think there'd be a lot of red tape, I think, but who knows? We could pick it for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down. I'd get a couple myself. So
yeah, it's funny mentioning innovation with it all. I cut a couple of corners with the old fashioned that we're having now at the moment, because I've gone with the bottled old fashioned, newest member of the Powers family. So this is like simply a Goswell base. It's sugar syrup and Angostura bitters, but it was almost a little teaser of what was to come with the labels as well.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really nice drink with a very like an easy pour concept as well. So it works really well. For me, probably no compromise really. You know, it's as good as what a made old fashioned would be really. I think Gold Label naturally works well in an old fashioned. We've got some of the good bars in Dublin using it in their old fashioned, which is great.
All right. So on to our final question, which is a yes or no flip of the coin question. You have a Whiskey Wednesday coin with you, but before we get into our question, our last drink of the night is...
I'm going to finish on a Gold Label neat, Powers Gold Label neat.
Excellent. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. So our last question is a flip of the coin question. It's a yes or no. You can spin it, you can flip it, you can do whatever you want with it. But really it just comes down to is the coin's going to give us our answer. So, is it true that you're the reincarnation of John Powers? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Derek, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Love drinking with you. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. All the best. Cheers, guys.
Excellent.